Notre Dame has landed another new commitment. Lufkin, Texas high school running back Kedren Young announcing his commitment to the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Tim, what a big one. The Irish just going into the state of Texas so much in the Marcus Freeman era. And here's a big one. The nation's number 182 overall player, number 12 running back per the On3 industry ranking. He's a 4-star across the board. I mean, people, we got to stop meeting like this. On3 just keeps ranking these guys as higher than some of the other sites, which people tell me don't happen. But hey, we're not going to talk about that in this video. We're talking about Kedren Young's commitment to Notre Dame. Listed at 5'11", 225 pounds, a big back. Tim, strong offer lists.
Yes.
Notre Dame, Texas A&M. Texas, Baylor, Michigan, Nebraska, Miami, TCU, Oklahoma State. Had some big boys after him. Took 2 official visits. Interesting. UTSA. Again, he had really good offers, but he liked UTSA and in-state school. Took an official there in May, and then was at Notre Dame the weekend of June 2nd to the 4th. Committed to Notre Dame while he was on campus and just announced it today. So, Tim, I'll stop talking. Let's hear from you. What's your take on this commitment?
The first thing you notice is I'm a fan of guys that can make cuts. And I talk about it all the time in our post-game shows, Notre Dame having backs that could find holes because there's holes there. And when you watch Young, he hits the hole. He is a cutback player. He can move. Outstanding football player. He really is. I love backs that could vision, obviously great eyes within the box, and it's one cut and go. And he does that time. I mean, look, watch this play right here. Time and time again in this film where it's just boom, find that leg, that little cutback crease, gone. And he's a special one. A top 200 back, Mike. You got back-to-back years now of him. You mix him with Mr. Love from last year, and you get some difference makers in that backfield. Not that Notre Dame hasn't had them, but these are some highly, highly ranked running backs. And I love the fact in doing some research on him, A&M thought they were going to get him. There's tons of articles after they offered. He did it unofficial. A&M was like, oh, we're going to get him. There's no way he's leaving Texas. And sure enough, Coach Freeman and company go down into Texas once again, get a heck of a football player out of that state. So kudos to them. He's fun to watch. He's another highlight film that's got it all, and excited to get him along with Aeneas Williams, which is a heck of a combination of running backs coming to Notre Dame.
Yeah, and I want to touch on that in a little bit.
Look at that run.
Tim, running back recruiting, man. Look, I mean, Autry Denson, people aren't too fired up about his running back recruiting. He did get Kyron Williams to Notre Dame, and he was just a little 3-star. Kyron Williams, not too bad of a player.
Yeah.
Chris Tyree in 2020, maybe hasn't had the career we've all hoped for, but Lance Taylor did a phenomenal job there, as well as the 2021 class. Logan Diggs and Audric Estime, 2022 Jadarian Price, and Jabran Payne, 2023 with Jeremiah Love, who I think the world of. And then this class with Kedren Young and Aeneas Williams. I mean, goodness gracious, Tim. No, it's a renaissance at the position here in recent history. What are your thoughts about this?
Exactly. I mean, you got 2 top 200 style running backs, and you got to go back to 2016. They had Dexter Williams, who was top 100, and Josh Adams was in the low 300s. Obviously 2 great Notre Dame backs, one on the NFL. 2015, they had 2 top 100s, Greg Bryant and Terrion Folster in the 13 class, with those guys and the great 13 class. But these guys, to go on with what they have last year, I mean, that's four blue chip, high caliber blue chip running backs that Coach McCullough has brought in his 2 cycles. So, outstanding run, and it's crazy because I'm always talking about this with guys like, Notre Dame. We always hear about tight end U, O-line U, their block. The perception out there is all Notre Dame does is run the ball 70 times a game. So it's like, where are all these giant running backs? How do they not flock to Notre Dame? So Coach McCullough has obviously changed that in the last 2 years, and he's gotten out and gotten some dudes the SEC wants. Aeneas Williams, by the way, is the only one in the class that has an offer, as I like to say, the big 3, the Buckeyes, the Crimson Tide, and the Bulldogs. So that is an awesome running back they're getting as well. So, great job in this class.
Tim, this is more of a generic point or a broad point about Notre Dame recruiting is that I feel like when Notre Dame is not signing a top 5 class, a lot of people just be like, "Oh, this is just like another Brian Kelly class," right? It's good, but it's not great. But I think people are kind of underestimating just how much talent Notre Dame really has been stacking. You're talking about back-to-back classes in the top 10 Notre Dame had in 2022 and 2023, and probably will do back-to-back-to-back. Brian Kelly did that once at Notre Dame, the back-to-back. He
Yeah,
never did back-to-back-to-back, and
3 in a row.
Freeman might do that. We'll give Freeman a lot of credit for the 2022 cycle, right?
Sure.
He was the DC and then took over a head coach right before signing day. 2023 his first class, and then 2024 we soon will be a top 10 class. You think about some of those Brian Kelly classes. There were some classes in the 20s. If we're just going to go strictly based on recruiting rankings, which you
Sure.
guys know is not my thing, but for the point of this discussion, it's a fine baseline, just discussion point as a data point. I mean, Notre Dame recruiting it really is on a different level than we saw in Brian Kelly's era. Again, just strictly off these recruiting rankings, Kelly had a decade of a sample size. With Freeman, we have a class and a half, but it's been pretty darn good.
Oh yeah, I mean Brian Kelly had more classes in the low 50s. He had a handful of classes, blue chip ratio, which we always talk about, just stacking players, just stacking high end top 300ish top players. So he had multiple classes under 50%. So the fact that Freeman, you know what, you get some of these. He closes strong. He gets a big time flip in the fall. Mike, I mean they could be teetering right on that 70%, which is that elite level. And Coach Freeman could be close to getting to there 3 years in a row. So, yeah, there are some good 3-stars in this class. Maybe some of them move up. Maybe they don't. It all evens out. They have a couple low 4s that are right on the 3-star clip.
Right.
So who knows? But it's obviously these higher end guys. But when you add a Young, who's a top, 200 back, he's got to be able to rise, you would think. Just now that – because he seems like someone who's been under the radar a little bit, out there on the national stage. But then when you look at his offers, they're like big time. So, Notre Dame got 2 guys. I look at Williams and Young as both these guys could play in the SEC.
Yeah.
I mean, literally in a heartbeat. That's where the schools wanted them, was down south, and Notre Dame got them coming up to South Bend. So I think this class is going to close strong. And it's going to be, it could be another solid one, as you're talking about, Mike.
Yeah, just wrapping up, Tim. I've called the pairing of Williams and Young being like a thunder and lightning, right? You got the thunder in this big bruising back, 5'11", 225 pounds, a Audric Estime replacement down the line. But then you pop on Aeneas Williams, like, yeah, he's the lightning, but he's listed at 5'9.5", 200 pounds. He's a bowling ball of a running back as well. You really like this pairing?
Yeah, I actually went back and rewatched his film. Once to watch it alongside with Young. Getting ready to talk with you tonight, and I rewatched it, and you forget this guy can move. This guy's a touchdown maker. This guy's got a ton of yards. You see why the schools that wanted him. He's electric. So this is one of Notre Dame gets a lot of these commitments early sometimes. Some of the, like CJ Carr, people forget, when it's all said and done, they're going to have CJ Carr in this class. So, it's like, let's don't forget that. Same thing with Cam Williams. And then Aeneas Williams committed before the bowl, if I remember right. So, fantastic football player, a lot of athleticism, a lot like Young as well. He will make a cut inside those, inside that C to C gap and find those inside creases. So, extremely talented. He's a guy that doesn't want to get tackled, so to speak. He is always looking for extra yards, and he's fun. It's a great tandem. It could easily be the best one here, obviously, in the last decade when you're looking at back at Notre Dame of the guys as far as bringing in two in the same class.
I think my favorite part about these 3 we're talking about now, you just mentioned Kedren Young, Aeneas Williams, and CJ Carr.
Yeah.
Them as kids, man. Aeneas is such a good person to interact with. CJ Carr, one of my favorite recruits I've ever covered. Then Kedren Young, I've really it's been a pleasure interacting with him, and I got to talk to him Monday morning, day after his visit. I'm sure he's exhausted. Does an interview with me, doesn't have to, and was kind enough to take a few minutes out of his morning to talk, and was telling me about how he wants to be an actor after football, and just kind of the opportunities that he can kind of launch his career at Notre Dame. So yeah, great job by Dylan McCullough and the coaching staff getting this guy locked in. And yeah, you just got to keep battling, to keep that commitment solid up till signing day. But that's going to do it, folks. Please do hit that thumbs up on this video if you liked what you saw, and I'm sure you did, because Notre Dame just got a big time running back commitment. Subscribe to our channel for more content. Head over to blueandgold.com. So to hear from Young, who talks about his commitment in an article that I wrote, as well as much more expert reaction. Appreciate you folks, and as always, we will catch you next time.